Good evening, Cowboys Nation. This is your boy, Skag Guy 4014, reporting on the way home. Guys, I watched the game last night, and guys, it is over. The 2020 season, it is over. Once again, I cannot express just how frustrated I am watching them last night, and just how it's frustrating. I mean, watching them last night, it's just frustrating. Ezekiel Elliott once again had little to no presence on the field. Tony Pollard, I think Pollard had a pretty solid game. I think he had that really nice kick return, which was like 67 yards. That was awesome. Andy Dalton could not throw a screen pass to save his life yesterday. I was stunned a couple times. We threw a screen that went for longer than 3 yards. Guys, Leighton Vander Esch last night looked completely lost. I mean, on the defensive side, he looked just completely lost. He was running all over the damn place, trying to fill a gap that he's trying to fill a hole that what he needed to do was fill the hole next to it or something like that. He had just a terrible time last night. I mean, he's a great player, but God, I mean, he looked so lost last night. There was another thing I saw last night. I mean, guys, the Ravens really, I think watching the Ravens last night, they were on autopilot the whole game. I mean, guys, our run defense couldn't stop a nosebleed last night. They couldn't stop anything. The Ravens were averaging, I think I saw it on Undisputed this morning, the Ravens were averaging like 5.5 yards a carry, might have been 8. I heard 8 yards a carry. I don't know where that came from, but guys, that's just ridiculous, and we're never going to win anything giving up 5 yards a carry. There's just no way we're going to win anything doing that. But Andy Dalton, going back to him for just a minute, I mean, he really hadn't done anything this year that has impressed me. Honest to God, I know he's a veteran. I know he's played he's been in the league for 10 years. But, I mean, guys, watching him last night, he really didn't impress me at all last night. I mean, yes, he did play good enough to win the game, but when the defense is just a turnstile, I mean, that's a problem. One thing I noticed last night that we were doing, which was better, was we were throwing we were throwing to a couple different receivers, which was good. We weren't just sticking with the same one. They threw the Hail Mary, and once again, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, now granted, a Hail Mary, I mean, you have a 1% chance of catching it, but a lot of people have been calling CeeDee Lamb out for not catching the Hail Mary, which could have, it could have changed the outcome of the game. But guys, once the fourth quarter got there, that was it. Like, the Cowboys were they were out of gas last night by the time the fourth quarter got there, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But the thing that just pisses me off, and once again, the defensive play calling and the offensive play calling were just atrocious last night. The only thing that I saw, that there was a play where they did a jet sweep for Amari Cooper to run the ball, that was actually that was the only creative play I saw last night. And I saw it and I was like, wow, that was actually for once, that was actually a creative play. I mean, I didn't see them doing that when they ran it. So I was kind of impressed that we actually had a play that was, not completely predictable. But with that said, they drove it down on a great drive in the fourth quarter. They drove it down to the 2, and they handed it off to Ezekiel Elliott 3 times in a row. And I know what it is Kellen Moore's like, well, Zeke's going to get it across that line. We've got 4 downs to do it. There was a pass interference call that set it up first and goal on the 2. And then they hand it to Zeke or whatever, and Zeke doesn't get in the first time. I'm like, okay, well, now we're probably going to pass on second down. Nope, ran Zeke right up the middle again. I'm like, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, well, he's going to just, Kellen Moore's just going to force it in there is what he's really doing. And then, third time, didn't get it, and then finally, fourth and goal, we threw it, and I think it was Amari Cooper. Yeah, Amari Cooper had the catch. But once again, the offense was just the offensive play calling was just terrible. And once again, we have failed to score more than 20 points, which you're not going to win many games not scoring more than 20 points. Greg Zuerlein last night. Guys, what was his fucking deal last night? Oh my God. I mean, I know it was a little bit windy there in Baltimore, but they weren't even, when he was kicking, they weren't even close. Like, what was the deal with that? He missed 3. Now, one of them was a 53-yarder. But he'd already missed 2 that were like 40 whatever yarders, and then he goes to kick the 53-yarder, and I said he's gonna miss this. I was telling, my grandmother was sitting next to me. I said he's gonna miss this, and sure enough, he missed it. I don't know what his deal was. Something else I want to address, just because it pisses me the fuck off, is what in the hell has been with the officiating this year with the Cowboys games. Now, when I say this, I'm not saying that if a call had gone one way or the other last night, we'd have won the game, because clearly that's not what would have happened. And in several games this year, clearly one call would not have made the difference. But with that said, guys, the pass interference calls that either are non-called, that are clearly pass interference, that could help us, or face mask or holding or whatever, the refs are just completely blind to. Now, last night there was one in the end zone that thankfully got called, or I think we were all just going to have an aneurysm over it. But CeeDee Lamb was a victim of a DPI call again last night that should have been called and should have given Dallas 15 more yards, but no, the ref was standing right there and didn't call it, even though he was clearly being held. Clearly DPI should have been called. And then there was another play where Dalton Schultz got a really nice catch and run off of a short pass from Dalton to pick up a first down and a few more. And he about had his face ripped off on a face mask when he got tackled, and they didn't call it. And I saw it, and several other people saw it and called it out on Facebook. But it's like, what in the hell? Like, are they just completely oblivious to some of these calls that should be, some of these penalties that need to be getting called? I mean, good God. I mean, and some of them are just so painfully obvious that that it's DPI and they don't even call it. People were complaining last night that Andy Dalton threw an interception in the end zone, and then Dallas hurried up and negated it so it couldn't be reviewed. Well, right before that happened, the Ravens got away with the face mask penalty, and then the Cowboys got them back on the interception that never got ruled because they ruled it incomplete. Of course, looking at it in real time, it looked like it was incomplete. But guys, the officiating this year has been just fucking ridiculous. Good God. I can't count on two hands how many times we have gotten just screwed on a call that clearly should have gone the other way. The one that pissed me off the most was when they called roughing the passer in the Steelers game, when that was clearly not roughing the passer, and yet Gilbert was just getting absolutely stomped and clobbered every chance that they got, and they weren't calling that. So I don't understand it. A lot of people on Facebook just think that the refs just every time Dallas plays, they have to play the refs. And watching it this year, I don't doubt it, because we have been victimized by some pretty shitty officiating this year. But like I said, I'm not saying that the officiating has caused us to lose games or has changed the outcome of a game, because normally the Cowboys are so far behind anyway, it doesn't matter. But guys, if you're gonna call the game, call it right, call it fair. Don't sit there and screw the other team because whatever reason. Jesus Christ. But like last night, that wasn't even funny last night. What happened? It was just ridiculous. You look over and see the defense sitting on the bench the whole time, and they're just sitting there. They're not doing anything. They're not excited. They're just out there. And watching it last night, guys, that was the season. Either we won that game or that was the season. There's 4 games left in the season. So Skip Bayless this morning on Undisputed said 3-13, here we come. And to be completely honest, I completely agree. I just don't see them winning any of the next 4 games. We've got San Francisco and Philly and the Giants and the Bengals. Guys, they might beat the Bengals. They really might. That's the only game I could see them winning. But I just don't see it with any of the other teams that are remaining. I just don't see it happening. I really just don't see it happening. We'll be the number 4 pick in the draft, and I don't know who we should draft. I have a feeling we're going to end up drafting a quarterback first round, but I could be completely wrong. A lot of people on Facebook and on YouTube are all saying that we need to draft a quarterback, and Kyle Trask has come up a bunch of times, and there's another kid, his name is I want to say his name is Trey Lance, but I don't know at this point. Watching it last night, I was just so pissed because, like I said, the defense looked completely lost out there last night. I have no idea how Mike Nolan has continued to keep his job because guys, he just sucks. Mike McCarthy just hired all his buddies to be the head coach and staff. But Mike Nolan sucks. We have got to get rid of him sooner rather than later. And Kellen Moore can follow him out the door. It's just not working. And I get it. Mike McCarthy inherited a team that was in shambles as it was. But that does not excuse him from some of the stupid calls that he has made and some of the just bullshit that he has given at press conference for excuses and stuff like that. I mean, that does not excuse him from that. And when he gets up there in the press conference and just starts running his mouth and defending the stupid ass decisions he makes, it just pisses me off. Because one thing that really got pointed out last year, I noticed, was the lack of accountability, and that seems to have continued over this year, is the complete lack of accountability on both sides of the ball. But anyway, I mean, I really don't think they're going to win another game the rest of the 2020 season. I really just don't see it happening. They'll be sitting on the couch for the 25th year in a row watching the Super Bowl, and they're only going to have themselves to blame, because the one statement that keeps coming up is not executing. Okay, that is true. That's the one thing that they keep saying is the problem, is the lack of execution. All right, I'll give you that one. They aren't executing out there. But they sure aren't taking accountability, and they sure aren't trying to get better. I mean, guys, the defense has just regressed so much in the last 2 years. It blows my mind how bad they have gotten in 2 years. But anyway, we all have something to look forward to next year. We have the draft to look forward to, all that jazz. And anyway, like I said, it's over, guys. It really is. There's no reason to sit here and lie to ourselves for the next 4 games and say we're going to win this game, we're going to do this, and we're going to get back in the race to the division. It's just not happening this year. It's really not going to happen this year. So if we can just be honest with ourselves for 4 more games, that's about the best thing we could do. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with y'all. I'm going to finish my drive home, and I hope y'all have a wonderful evening, and as usual, crank the tank.